All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another episode of Three Old Goalies. Today is February 5th, 2023. We have a very distinguished panel, as always, to discuss the latest and greatest of what's going on in the world of soccer, particularly in the United States. My name's EV. Joining us tonight are Ryan Sparks, our producer, Greg Deutsch from Cincinnati, John Boa from the beautiful city of Boulder, Colorado, another old goalie. Greg Raver from Cincinnati, sort of a mid-age goalie, and our special guest tonight. I was thinking about this, fellas. Maybe you can help me out.
We
You know,
just
like,
lost him.
well, we did. Okay, well, he'll come back. He usually comes back. But
They always
you
come
know,
back.
is he? What do we say? Is he a friend of the show? Which would
He's
be
an FOS for sure.
He'd be a FOS. Is he a friend of the podcast? FOP.
Yeah.
Is he?
He's at the top of the family tree or the bottom of the family tree, however you want to look at it.
He's the OG.
I heard he was the HMFIC at thesquad.com.
Mike
That's what I
Taylor.
heard.
Oh,
Mike
yeah,
Taylor-
he is that's for sure. That's for sure. And of course, Pat was. We've had him on the show before, and it's always been extremely interesting. He's a former goalkeeper. He's a former professional goalkeeper. He's an author. Okay, and we'll get into that later on. But he's also the vice president of a company called Squad, and Squad is one of our sponsors, and that's Squad with the W because everyone loves a W. And we're going to have Pat on to discuss all things soccer, but really most importantly to sort of give our audience, all 14 of them, an overview of what Squad does, what it is, and where it's going. And with that, I will turn it over to Pat in just a minute after, of course, I warn all of our listeners and viewers that, this is the 3-0 goalies. So have the earmuffs at the ready for your children because parental advisory, explicit content, it sometimes gets out of hand. And, we have a disclaimer for that at the beginning of the show rather than at the end so we don't get in trouble. But Ryan, you wanna anything that you're sort of the producer of this show, anything that you want to make sure we talk about tonight? So we've got sort of a semi agenda.
We've got a long list of topics to get on. I know Boa's super excited about some of the topics this evening. But I want to just kind of let Pat talk a little bit about the Squad to open things up and kind of tell us, what's the squad.com? Why should everybody be using the Squad? Go all in and tell us, and our listeners and our viewers, like, why is the Squad different and why should we jump on board here?
Well, fellas, I appreciate the time on the screen here to tell all 14 of you, and hopefully all 14 are tuning in, or else I'm really wasting my time here. But anyway, all kidding aside, thanks again. So the Squad is it's an app, plain and simple, but the app is very functional, very intuitive. The thing that caught me about it, being a retired college coach and also, coaching on the youth side, it's a great conduit to connect college coaches with club players. It's a very nice recruiting tool for players themselves looking to, find that pipeline in the pathways to get to the next level. And so the Squad is fundamentally a place where you enter your info and you're able to broadcast it out to anybody. You have different ways to do so. The slickest way is a QR code, simple scan of the QR code. A full team brochure comes up. You can do it individually as a player without telling you, I can sit here and tell you what time it is without going into telling you how the watch works. It's a very simple way to connect coaches and players. It also checks the box in terms of team admin. So we have competitors. Team Snap on steroids. Basically, we're able to direct chat our teams, give them a full dashboard of all the activities they're doing. I mean, if you're in the game of soccer, recruiting, playing, team manager, team coach, this is definitely something you want to look into. Again, as Evie said, squad with a W, because everyone wants a W. As a matter of fact, dressed up for it tonight. There you go.
Yeah. The official
Love
shirt.
that, guys. Love that. Playing the part.
Official shirt.
Okay, and then I'm gonna finish the squad story here with something you'll love, EV. Maybe a couple of you know my old college roommate, Marlon Robinson. Marlon Robinson is our international VP, as EV called me. I don't know if I'm a VP. Honestly, I have no idea what I am. I call myself an ambassador, but Marlon's come on board. He saw the brilliance of this app, and he is just lining people up left and right over in the UK on it. So the squad has gone international. It's definitely helped us with our stable and presentation of players. And, because unfortunately, I'm sure this is a topic we might get into later this evening, is it smacks us in the face, all the foreign players now being recruited to come over and play here. And we could have a whole show on that, as everyone knows, but having the squad get all these players on over there is definitely increased our appeal, without a doubt. So without further ado, the squad is something you should definitely do some research on. I'll be glad to discuss it with anybody, but let's get on to the panel, and thank you for the time, gentlemen.
Well, you can access Squad at www.squad with a Q SQWAD. Sorry.
No, buddy.
No?
thesquad.com.
All right.
No. It's
Thesquad.com. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's thesquad.com, right?
Yeah,
With
the
a W.
squad.
Downloaded the app.
THESQWAD.com. And you can access it from the Three Old Goalies website. We have it linked from the Three Old Goalies website. And our website is up and running at www.threeoldgoalies.com. So easy for everybody to remember there.
Hey, Pat, I want you just to share with everybody one of the main differences that you and I've talked about is the administrator doesn't have to hand out any more pamphlets. He doesn't have to take any more. She doesn't have to get your business card or write your name and what school. And then maybe that night or maybe Monday, she sends an email to all the parents and families and say, here's all the coaches. So why don't you, go into a little bit of your elaboration of this, because I do think this is different than some of your competitors. And
it's definitely different. It crosses a lot of lines. It's a complete vertical integration of team registration, team management, recruiting profiles, team brochure, etc. So from the player side, basically it's simply going online, taking 10 minutes to enter your GPA, your high school, your contact info. And what that does is it allows whoever is administering the team to download. I don't think download is the right word. I think transfer, because I am technologically challenged. But it allows you to transfer that info into a live document. So basically it allows you as a team manager or a team coach, team admin, to grab all your players' info that they've downloaded into their particular profiles and put it in a cloud. Now it allows you as the team admin to take all of that info that's in the cloud on a particular team and put it in one tidy little file that can be transferred with a QR code. That QR code can be emailed. It can be done on the spot. We've actually gone as far as to create yard signs that we put around the field for teams that are using it, so that all the college coaches have to do is scan the QR code on the yard sign, and they get a live document of all the players on the team. And also in that live document, players are able to put in their video highlights as well. So it's a complete presentation. There's nothing lacking in it. So it just makes it very simplistic to give your information to the coaches. Now, the beauty from the college coaches side, this is where I was enamored with it and said, I love this thing, is the moment I scan that QR code, I have all this info, and it makes it very simple to disseminate, organize, and utilize that info and communicate with the players that I'm interested in through that app, so that anytime I'm recruiting, I no longer have to go to a website or go find a text or look at a brochure. All I have to do is pop the app, put in the player's name, and a complete history of every interaction and every type of information that that player has put in there is right there at my disposal. It just makes it 21st century.
It's really easy. I just downloaded the app and I'm screwing around in there, and it's really intuitive.
It is.
Yeah, it is, John. It really is, and I think, Pat, not only do you get that information, if you're interested in that kid, why don't you go into that, how that works when the game's over? How does the kid find out that you were at the game?
Okay, thanks. I mean, appreciate the prompts there. I mean, because we could go on here, but here's the typical routine right now. For all of you that sit on the sidelines, it's college coaches. You grab a brochure, and then the team manager, doing their job, says, "I'm sorry, what school are you with? How do you spell that name?" Me working at Sewanee, it's like, is that with the U? Happens all the time, and fair enough. But what this allows the team manager to do is, as they present the QR code, the moment a coach scans it, it downloads right into the team's file every coach that scanned that brochure, and they put the time that it was scanned. So now there's no, hey, what's up, this, that, no talking at all. It's just, here's my QR code, scan it, and everybody's right back to work. So it eliminates a lot of steps that we're all used to in the process. Now, as a college coach, you can, in 10 minutes, download the info, identify a player, direct chat them, take notes on them, download that information into your compliance folder that you have set up on your squad account, and then you can transfer at the end of the event, transfer all that information to your compliance department. So basically in 10 minutes, you're able to do everything that you need to do to identify, contact, take notes, and recruit a player. It's all done like that.
Cool.
Hey, Pat, so it's Raver. Do you guys align with athletic departments at schools, like high schools? What sports are you in? Like, kind of what are all the different segments that you're looking to get into? And how does that transfer from what is currently some sports like basketball and soccer or strictly club environment versus the high school environment? Like, how are you integrating into those different areas?
Okay, so our app works for every sport. We call them communities. Soccer obviously is the one I'm looking at. The gentleman who's in charge of this, his name's Jeff Lawson, and he's a soccer guy as well. But this can be used for any of the sports out there. So we have approached high schools, but as you know, in soccer, the main pipeline for recruiting is through the club scene and not the high school scene.
Right.
So that's more or less where we're focusing our efforts there. But in terms of the high schools, basketball, we do have a basketball arm of the squad. He's working on, bringing players on, bringing coaches in, and it's it's right now we're a year in. We're basically 12 months into this. We're 10 times the number of players we've had, probably 3 or 4 times as many coaches as we've had. And it's just one of those things. It's obviously we're building from the ground up. But the beautiful thing about this is when it does catch fire, this thing could go from 10,000 users in a week, it could be 1 million, because it's so easy to do and use and download. And, so that's where I come in. As I say, I'm the ambassador. I just go around and tell people, hey, check this out, look at it, and see the merits in it, because you're going to see it again. If you don't want to use it now, you're going to be using it in the future. And, it's really coming to fruition. We've still got a long way to go, but the upgrades we've made, especially now with the international arm and Marlin over there working it, we've got like 100 English kids on there that want to come and play in the States. And, it's easier to tell a coach, hey, we've got, 700 American kids and 100 English kids on this. Download it alone just to access these kids' information. College coaches, it's free. For a team to use, it's $20 a month. For a kid to use, download highlights, have a full profile, it's $20 a month. Everybody else is charging hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for this. So it's simple to use. It's very effective. And once everybody starts using it, there will be no going back.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a team paying me $3,600 than one guy paying me $200. That's a good idea. It's also got a great social media aspect to it. You can chat with people.
Yeah,
you can invite and request things. You can put your medical waivers on here for tournaments. It's great. It's cool.
You've seen it, so yeah, excellent, exactly. Right.
Yeah, but the cool thing I see is
you guys are hired.
No, budgets are shrinking in men's sports in college, and if you can get that vehicle, I mean, you've cornered the market.
Yeah, we're looking at it. I mean, we have ambitions for sure. He's this guy's relentless. He's tireless. Jeff's all over it and does everything. And again, talking with Marlon. By the way, the Marlon I referred to, guys, I know I'm throwing names out there, blah blah blah, but he's Jedi Robinson's dad, our left back for the U.S. national team. So the guy's got great connections over there.
So did he grow up? Did Jedi grow up in Liverpool? Because he was with Everton's youth team, right?
Yeah, he went through the Everton Academy and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marlon played with Pat at Duke.
But he was gone before the '86 team, so it was like Ken Lola.
Yes, yeah, and well, I was just going to ask Pat. You'd mentioned, and I'm sure you guys are working on this, but and it's probably not as big numbers. But what about the kids in the United States who want to go try their skills over in England?
Bilateral.
And I mean, not necessarily go to college, but you know what? Hey, I'm a pretty good player. I realize I can play in the United States, go to college, but what if I want to really step up and give pros a shot? Is it a reciprocating thing with Marlon?
Oh yeah, Marlon's got a pipeline sending kids over here already. As a matter of fact, we mentioned my son Kyle earlier. College of Charleston had a freshman kid from Huddersfield who was their leading scorer, made all conference, I believe. First team came in and really made an impact for the College of Charleston. So that was through Marlon.
Right.
So it was Marlon. Marlon, he's a complicated character for those of you who don't know him. So he goes by the name Tony over there, and because his name's Marlon Anthony Robinson, and he insists that my son refer to him as Uncle Tony. So Uncle Tony sends Kyle players, and Kyle's been looking at him, etc. So back to your point, EV. So there is this reciprocity of sending kids. And as you know, we sent Joey Valente's kid over there, who's having a great experience, doing very well. And that's really how Marlon and I got really back and engaged with each other. We've always been buddies and lovers of the game. As a matter of fact, we coached the same team in college. While we were in college, Marlon and I coached a team in Durham Chapel Hill.
Right.
And you may know some of these kids, Jeff Poe, I don't know, Alan Wood.
Oh yeah.
So we coached these kids, and just imagine the powwows we had talking about these kids when they were 14 and 15.
Yeah.
But Marlon loves this app, and this app just dovetails nicely in with the player pathway stuff that we're trying to do.
That's
and
cool.
The player that we're talking about at College of Charleston is Chris Elliott.
Okay.
Right? First team all conference, third team all Atlantic region from the United Soccer Coaches Association.
There you go. Yep. Uncle Tony sent him over.
And Joey's Valenti's son Gino didn't he go over and go through the Stephen Gerrard Academy, correct?
Yeah, he's in the Steven Gerrard Academy, and they've got him playing with every team they can.
Right.
So he turns 18 soon, so he's going to be allowed to play semi-professionally. So he's going to be doing that. And Gino's a great case, guys. Here's another story we could go on forever in terms of the opportunities for American kids now, especially since the colleges are recruiting all these foreigners. But Gino went over because he played for a club here, MLS Next Club, Wake FC, trying to do the right thing. But it's the quintessential American club where, teams are training and they all get a quarter of the field. There's so many teams, so much attention, can only go to so many players. So the kid was training 3 to 4 nights a week for an hour and a half. He was getting 4.5 to 6 hours of training in a week, and that was it. That's really all Wake could provide the kid. So then you enter into this whole new vacuum that's being I don't want to say it's being assuaged right now, but you have this whole new vacuum in terms of these academies and training these kids more and more, whereas over in Europe, that's just a way of life. These kids are training twice a day. They get up, they do a session, okay, then they have an afternoon session. They might even do fitness at night 3 times a day. Here in America, a kid with an MLS Next Club, what is he getting? He's getting nothing like that. Right. And so that dovetails into perfectly looking at the college coaches and saying, why am I going for these American kids that this is all they're getting when I can get a kid who for the last 6-8 years has been training 3 times as much as this kid? And so Gino went over there and found this out with the Steven Gerrard Academy. And Gino's going for it. And all indications are he's doing fantastic. And it's been a great experience. So obviously I'm very happy because I was the one who initiated the whole process for him.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was through Tony over there. Tony said this will be the best fit for him right now. And I can't believe I just called him Tony.
You called him Tony. Yeah. I'll tell a story about I show up at Duke first year coaching. I come from Illinois. I got Pat. Rennie said, "Okay, you got Pat." We go to, and this is back in the old days. Remember, you guys all did this, but remember when you came in the first night, you ran the Cooper, right? You ran the 2-mile run, right? So Pat's hanging around with Marlon, and Marlon says out loud, and I don't know if Marlon even knew I was the goalkeeper coach at that time, but he's like, "Yeah, I haven't done any training whatsoever this summer. I'm going to mind over matter this and finish in 12 minutes, right?" And I'm thinking, good luck with that, pal. Well, and this guy was a superb athlete. I mean, this guy was a stud. So sure enough, we go out there. We go down to Wally Wade Stadium, and we're going to run around the track. And Marlon, sure as hell, comes in at like 11:59. Okay, hasn't run a stitch all summer. Hasn't done shit. He crosses the finish line at 11:59 and promptly passes out and face plants on the track. Okay, I mean seriously, am I right, Pat? Didn't this happened? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he spent the night in the hospital on IV.
Exactly. But it was like, I passed the Cooper.
Like a North Carolina preseason.
Yeah. So, but he was a really, really good player, and it's good to know that like you were talking about, Pat, that squad has expanded to sort of both sides of the pond now, and things are. You've got a reputable guy over there who's working on behalf and knows. There's quality over in the United States. Unfortunately, a lot of times we can't find it, but proper football teams can, So
Evian, talking about the reciprocity. So one of the things Marlon set up over there is, so we have a little, just a link, I guess, for lack of better terminology. I'm sure there's something Ryan there could probably enlighten us on. But what it does is it's a play abroad link. So American kids that are on it can hit this, and we've got links to, I believe, 5 different academies now. Of course, Steven Gerrard is one of them. We've created partnerships with these guys. Trevor Sinclair, the former English international,
Yeah.
has a school over there that Marlon, has set up a partnership with. And then I think it's the 5th division. It's the league Wrexham's in.
Yeah.
There's a team called Filed, and we have a partnership with them now. So, I mean, things are really starting to take off. The grass isn't growing under our feet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's great. That's
It's
great.
It's been a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, one thing I think you should share that you're not about the referee component of this, which I think is really underrated. And I think there's just such an upside because first, you really don't have a lot of competition, or at least when you and I talk about it, it appears there's no competition. So it's almost like a monopoly, but getting the word out seems to be, the challenge right now.
So what? Yeah, thank you, Greg. It's all done on an app. It's a refereeing app. Squad RF is what it's called. SQRF. And what that does is it allows the referee to do all his game report right there on the app, and then the coaches just sign the app, and then he'll just punch in complete, and then everything about the game report goes into the central location. So here's an anecdotal example. The ECNL still has the referees bring a piece of paper to each coach with the report. They fill it out, and then the referee now has to make sure that piece of paper makes it to the tent at an ECNL event. Now, these ECNL events, I don't know if you guys have been to them, but you could literally be a mile from the tent before the ref can go and deliver the results and the report and all of that. You go to, what is that one park in Texas, Myers Park or whatever? I mean, it's spread out. It's, and a mile might be an exaggeration, but, forgive me. But, yeah, what Greg is saying is this is simply done. Scores reported, cards are reported, it's signed, and boom, hit the button. It's sent, goes back to the central computer. It's done. They have and then here's the beauty of it with the admin app tied into it. Basically, all the standings, all the tables, all the brackets are updated on the spot. So by the ref entering his score, there's no human need to transfer anything. It's all integrated so that when that score is put in, every other app that applies there is updated as well. You can keep track of the leading scores in the tournament, all that stuff. And then it just happens when he hits it within 5 seconds, 10 seconds, everything else reciprocates and reflects what's happened accordingly. It's that's what it's all about. It's just to make the whole process simple. And again, it's integrated vertically, horizontally. It all ties in where it just makes everything so simple.
So what do you guys have from like an insights perspective? Like what roll-ups do you get? Like where's your growth area that you're looking at? Like just trying to get an idea other than that bilateral between obviously Europe and the United States. Like what are you doing from like an insights perspective and a growth perspective that you think like is kind of your next step?
Okay, this is a great question. Thanks for asking, Raider. We've got so here's I guess the game plan is we're approaching clubs saying, hey, we want to get your players on this. We even have some aggressive financial incentives to do so. And, there's been some reward. Of course, okay, so being the devil's advocate, it's change. It's change. And so
Right.
People are reluctant to change. And then the other thing is people are making the mistake of pigeonholing us with, oh, you're competing with so-and-so, I don't want to give a shout out to our competitors, even though they're really not, but we're not just a college profile app. We're not just for the kids to set up their profiles. We're not just a refereeing app. We're not just an admin app. So what we're getting is we're approaching the club saying, please use us. Here's why you want to use us. We're giving demos. We have some reception there.
But the biggest thing is the change, or, oh, we're already using so-and-so, so we don't need you. So they don't even give us the time to demonstrate. And when you try to explain, look, we're far more than that. Some people just can't be bothered. As a matter of fact, more people than I would like to believe say, we just can't be bothered. So it's just a matter of perseverance and sticking at it. But the plan is to get players on. By getting the players on, we're going to get the coaches on. I work ID camps in the summer. I show every coach I work with at these ID camps, hey, here, check this app out. And everybody I show it to, I would say 90%, and this is no exaggeration, if they take the time to see what it's all about, they're like, oh, that's cool. I really like that. There's nothing like that out there. It's like, okay, that's what we're trying to make people aware of and get them out there. So right now, the aggressive stand, the aggressive energy, I should say, is going towards enlisting clubs and teams to get after it. And I want to thank Maven, because Maven, for the rest of you, is Greg, has been really helpful in this. And I want to go public in thanking you for your support on this, Greg. It's really been, I really appreciate it. That's all I can say.
I got good news. I'm going to text you a new one.
Okay.
Well, I also have, so some of this is self-serving. I'm asking this. I was in a car with 4 13-year-old boys. We're in a 1A school in Ohio, and they play football, and some play lacrosse, and so on and so forth. And the statement one of them said was, we have to leave here if we ever want to try to play in college, because no one's going to find us. And I literally turned around and was like, boys, if you're good enough, they're going to find you. But there's no vehicle, because the coaches and athletic departments traffic. I don't want to say, it's terrible to say that, but they traffic on who they make available to whom, and so on and so forth. But it's almost like it's like a player empowerment tool that they can actually control their own entire message.
Yeah, player empowerment that's fantastic. That's what Marlon's doing over in England, but again, there's services over here, again, without saying names. I don't think you can get into any of them for less than $1,000. And
crazy. It's a big sham, college recruiting, right? So this is
huge. Great. It's hoodwink.
Yeah.
And if you essentially turn yourself into the, for lack of a better term, the Twitter, the Facebook of that college interface directly with the channel they want to get to, they're going to get found. I keep telling them, like, it doesn't matter. If you're good enough, you're going to get found.
Greg, I mean, intuitively, you're hitting all the greatest buzzwords, man. And our next video call with the business, I want you on it, because you are nailing it. Exactly. It's player empowerment. It's all about giving them the opportunity. And John, you said it too. It's, again, without mentioning any names, and these services are over in England as well. Oh, we'll get your scholarship and we'll do this and do that. But you can't touch anything for under 4 figures. And what we're saying is we're $240 a year. Right now, but what it also entails is you as the player have to take the initiative and get after it. And unfortunately, what these services are doing is they're selling this false sense of security, saying, give us these thousands of dollars and we're going to find a place for you. Okay. All they're doing is sending these mass emails out that probably 95% of the college coaches, I know as a college coach at a small D3 school, when I got them, they went right to the trash bin. These aren't kids that are interested in my school. I'm not going to waste my time with them, So it was, again, when Jeff showed it to me, I was like, Jeff, if we're going to get this out there and people are going to use it, because it is exactly what this arena is calling for.
Well, everybody's selling the parents. This is selling the kids. They can actually control their own direction, right? I mean, they can. They're all digital natives. I have a 13-year-old. I'm not on social media. Like, I think it's an awesome vehicle that you guys have, and I think it's really going to take hold.
Well, I appreciate it. It's like you said too. Every kid, they're on their cell phones. So the moment they look at it, it's like, oh yeah, no problem. It's funny because when we do get teams that say, okay, we're going to use it, the biggest the biggest struggle is to get the damn kids to go on and just set up their profile. Greg, you probably get it because of, coaching older girls. It's like, look, this is all you got to do. But a lot of these kids, they just can't be bothered to do it, So we make it easy for them. And a lot of kids, as Greg said, it's easy enough to do it because they know how to navigate their cell phone like we know how to navigate the inside of our 6-yard box, They just know how to do it. That's it.
So,
except for Boa. He was always
Boa was a wanderer. He was a wanderer. So let's harken back to the coaching when you brought up you and Marlon were coaching a team in Durham, North Carolina, because young Greg Raver here came across you as a coach, and I want him to tell this story. Came across you as a coach when you were, and I don't know how the hell this happened, but at some point you were in college and coaching the ODP goalkeepers for either North Carolina. It was probably Talbot got you wrangled into this.
Brucey.
Yeah. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Raves, to tell this story about the great Pat Johnston and his young coaching prowess as a goalkeeper coach.
I met Pat when I was 11 years old at Warren Wilson College.
That's right, at camp. Yeah.
And I think the majority of the people on this call were at that camp.
Pat and I were up at 6 a.m. every day drinking beer, so we certainly remember it.
Well, I was hired to fill the water cooler, so I saw you drinking beer both. But no, I went to Cocoa Beach, Florida, for Region III camp. I think I was 14, maybe 15, probably 14. And I went down there and I had the whole training session trying to make the regional team, trying to make it through. Out of North Carolina, I grew up in Raleigh, playing in Castle at the time. And I get my evaluation. And my evaluation said, below average to average, probably going to be a better field player. And I call EV and I was like, E, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? And he was like, I don't know, man. Like, that's Pat. That's what he felt and that's what he saw. So obviously we got to do something. And so I had that evaluation of probably should go into being a field player.
Hey, he read me in college. Pat read me a new one in college. So,
but he's smart. I mean, Pat, truth be told, I was like, I got it. And you get it when you're a little kid and you're like, oh, this. And I looked at it. I was like, oh, damn. And then I went back to my parents' house with the rotary phone and you're calling people. I was like, Evie, what do I do with this? And he's like, that's Pat. Apparently you were crap that week. And I was like, okay, that's fair.
So Maven, tell them about John Lipsitz.
Oh, Lipschitz.
How do I know that name?
He's your women's director at Cup.
He was the coach at UK.
Oh,
yeah. So Greg, you set me up with him. He told me a story about EV was coaching. Do you remember the story now?
I do.
Okay. I'm tired of talking.
So EV, you had coached the ODP team, and they were combining the age group Pat and John played with.
Right.
And at that time, John had done all the training, and John was coming in like June, and he was named to the roster, and he got all ticked off and upset. And he's like, I can't believe that they, brought this guy in without, even training. And so he goes to training session the first day, and you put him through, the session, and he's like, oh, yeah, now I know why. Okay.
Was he a goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I didn't know.
no. So Greg, you said it was John who came in June. John been training the whole time.
You came in June.
I came in June.
Right.
So Evie, you were like, Pat, you're just going to go play for this team. And then I just like walked. And so he's like, so apparently John's story was like, fuck this guy. I'm the man. I'm better than him. And then you brought me in for one session and John went, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the other thing too was, I knew you were better than him, but you had pelts on the wall by then too. right? You've been into the final and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, okay, fine, we're whatever. Yeah, we'll do it your way, John. Whatever you want to do.
So it sounds like I just spent my whole history making friends. No wonder
Yes,
why everybody
yes.
loves me.
Well, if there's any consolation here, I played for Carl Fleming at Castle for 2 years.
Oh,
And he used to talk to me all the time. He's like, Pat Johnston, he didn't care if they hit it from across the field when everybody was leaving. He said no one could hit the ball past him. He would take offense to it. He said, you should take it and be angry if someone tries to hit the ball in your goal.
Yes.
And he used to always talk about it. He was like, he would take unequivocal offense to it. And I thought that was really cool.
Hey, he's not Mike Taylor's favorite goalkeeper for nothing.
No, it's right. That's right. And he would
And
get,
Mike Taylor's smarter than everybody on this call, by the way.
yeah, he is. Yeah, all collectively. But Pat, I'll tell a story about Pat. Pat would get pissed off. He'd get fucking pissed off in warm-ups if you scored on him, right? And in warm-ups as a goalkeeper coach, you guys know this now. You got to score once or twice because you don't want them, you want them a little bit on edge, okay? Well, Pat would get pissed off. And then when Pat's girlfriend would show up at the game, he come here, shoot some in the corners for me so I can fly. I'm like, what? She goes, my girlfriend's here. Shoot some in the corners for me so I can fly. It's like, for fuck's sake, all right.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, no, you did do it. I did not
That's
make that up.
indelible.
I could not make that up. That
Well,
happened.
Dude, I didn't need to say that because if you hit it in the corner, I'd save it anyway. Why would I
True.
need to be
True.
saying
Yeah,
that?
but you wanted to fly. You didn't want like shots low in the corners because anybody could save those. You wanted balls up in the upper 90 to save. So yeah, that was and Greg, didn't John Lipswich went on to coach at the women at UK, right?
UK. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and speaking of UK, Rabes, go ahead and share your story about.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing a shirt. This is new. So my teammate and roommate, he passed a couple of years ago, and we're not raising money or doing anything crazy. His name was Jamal Shatiwi. He was an amazing player. He was an All-American from Cincinnati, and we're just making sure his kids still know that what he did was awesome. So the kids all around the area that I live, they wear these shirts, and we got a whole bunch of them, and we just wanted to make sure that they knew that he was pretty amazing. And as a Cincinnati boy, we're proud of him and really proud of his kids and Lauren, his wife.
Can we buy one to contribute to something?
Nope. It's not for money. It's just to remember him. But Bose, I'll send you one if you want one.
Not Stephen Gerrard's number, but it is the wrong color.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's fine.
Can't win them all.
Good stuff, Rapes.
But,
No, I did. Yeah, Jamal's pretty awesome and a great player if you go look into it.
Cool.
Thank you, Ron.
Cool. All right. Okay. So, Bose, are you ready with your twirl around the European leagues?
I am ready.
Okay.
I am truncated.
One of the things that we're getting back to now that Boa has rejoined us, and we never did solve the issue of how what do we refer to Pat Johnston as? Friend of the show, friend of the episode, friend of the podcast.
Goalkeeper critic, it sounds like.
Goalkeeper critic would be a good one. Dasher of 12-year-old dreams,
Yes.
stuff like that. Yeah.
I should have been a field player. It's
You
fine.
should, yeah. You should have been a field player. And Frank Polenstein said the same thing, right?
Well, then maybe I should have been a field
Maybe you should
player.
have
What
been
am
a
I
field
doing
player.
here?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
anyway, all right.
I am honored to say the same thing Frank said.
That might be
I feel a lot better now.
Yeah.
I am not. That is very hurtful.
All right, Bose, go ahead, man.
Well, that might be the place to start because when I was a senior, we went down and Pat was the assistant at Berry College in Miami, not Berry, Georgia. And they were really good Division II team, and we beat their fucking ass. And I saved a penalty and 4 breakaways, and Pat called EV and goes, "Who's this fucking useless excuse for a fucking goalkeeper?" I thought he was one of your boys. Because I'm not like him in Hammer. I can't dive over the crossbar, right? So, but at least I can kick a ball. So anyway, so Ray, you're not immune.
Yeah, God did not touch the bottom of your feet and let you fly, just like me.
No. So anyway, it's great to be back doing the show again, and we had so much to talk about. This segment, EV, we got to give a proper name to, because I'm very close to getting a sponsor because of the sexist pigs in Saudi Arabia and FIFA. They pretty much opened the doors to anyone to sponsor anything, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe what we start with, and I really don't want to talk about this shit anymore, but we can start with U.S. Soccer. And when I say U.S. Soccer, live listeners, I'm talking about the federation. I'm not talking about the people that built the game that still do it like Pat does well into his 80s. I'm talking about the U.S. Soccer Federation, okay? And, what really got lost in our rants over the last 3 or 4 shows is what an amazing job they've really done since the World Cup. Boy, hey, we have no manager. The technical director quit and fucked off back to PSV, I think. And then McBride either got fired or quit, so we got no general manager. But we've managed to continue to lose. So we lost to Colombia's under-17 team, 1-0. And then ESPN's like, the United States did so well. I looked up the stats. They had like 63 possession. And then we lost to Serbia. So I go to the U.S. Soccer website, which I'm even amazed that they can build. And they
can build it because the guy who's the new CEO, came from Oracle or somebody.
Mozilla, that's right.
Yeah, sorry.
And they lost to Serbia 2-1. Now Serbia historically, we'll get to that in a second, is a good team, but that means the United States has scored 4 goals in our last 7 games, and I think that we've won 1. The thing about it though is I go to the U.S. Soccer website. And sure enough, they're building up Serbia like they're like, the long lineage of Yugoslavia being, and which is correct. Yugoslavia's had a long 50, 60-year history of some wonderful, wonderful national teams. The problem is, since 1990, Yugoslavia has broken up into 6 different countries, okay? The most successful of which, of course, is, or Robbie Church would say, successful. Most successful of those clubs, of those national teams, would be Croatia, of course, Serbia. But this was like the Serbians that play in MLS. This was not the guys, playing at Fulham and Kaiserslautern. But they made it sound like a Goebbels, propaganda freaking thing about how good Serbia was, and they were just absolute crap. So one thing that we do in the show is we try to get you to go out and learn something. We talk about great movies. There's a great movie on FIFA.com for free, and it's called Croatia, Defining a Nation. Has anybody seen this?
I've not seen
that. They talk, and guys, it's about you remember Boban, Savicevic, Bilic, those guys that played AC Milan, wonderful teams back in the 80s and 90s. But it talks about all the war and how they had to grow up with no running water, which is a little different than having to put unleaded in your Escalade going to a tournament. But just a really good thing. It's called Croatia, Defining a Nation. And there's really just 2 clubs in that area, Dynamo Zagreb, which everybody knows, and then Hajduk Split. So I think it's Hajduk or Hajduk. I'm not sure really how to pronounce it. But they have a derby that's been going on for 98 years, I think. And, we have these great derby names, right? We got the Clasico, okay, in Spain and Argentina. We got the Old Firm in Scotland. We got the Friendly Derby in Merseyside, Liverpool. My favorite, personally, is the Black Country Derby, which is WBA and Wolves. I love that name. But this one they have is called the Eternal Derby because they fucking hate each other. It's like Carolina Duke, Alabama Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State, Steelers, Cowboys, all rolled into one. They beat each other up. It's amazing. So if you can, we have access to so many games now. You guys really need to watch one of those derbies. They really get stuck in there. So while we're talking about, I'm glad Pat brought up the referee thing because they can't use VAR. I don't know how you expect them to use a mobile phone. But did you see the tackle that A.D. Carroll put on Erickson last week?
You sent me a photo of it.
He did it in like 4 or 5
It was clean.
times.
It was fine.
It was fucking brutal. And I look, hey, the only day of the year I take off is the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. I hate United. Okay, so I'm no United apologist, but that was fucking criminal. Now Ericsson's out for 3 months. Casemiro gets a straight red yesterday. He's out for 3 games.
Well, he did try to choke somebody on the sideline.
Yeah, I'm United.
It's frowned on, not completely against the rules.
Yeah,
right.
But it was they're pretty bad. These referees just continue to let us all down. A pretty interesting story in Germany. The Bayern Munich does a really good job of keeping their legends, and they bump them up the ladder. So right now, Oliver Kahn, a goalkeeper, is the CEO of Bayern Munich.
Right.
And they got a real problem with Manuel Neuer. He brought his buddy in to be his goalkeeper coach. So, long legacy of great goalkeepers at Bayern, right? Sepp Maier, who EV trained with, Oliver Kahn, now Manuel Neuer was the best in the world for 15 years or so. Broke his leg skiing after the World Cup. So Bayern used that opportunity to fire his personal goalkeeper coach. It's become this big nightmare. Everybody in Germany already hates Bayern anyway. But it's a lot of politics they call them FC Hollywood in Germany, very spitefully, kind of like a New York Yankees thing because they win everything. But it was just interesting because you got a goalkeeper at the top saying, "Hey, Manuel, the club's bigger than you are. Keep your fucking mouth shut." So they got to sort that out, and he might not come back. He might retire, or he might go somewhere else. But there is a wonderful story about FC Freiburg, the club that is now sitting at 6th place, 2 points off the Champions League. Does anybody know what famous NASL goalkeeper was from Freiburg, Germany?
I do.
Hubert Birkenmeier.
Yes. Anybody else? Okay, Hubert Birkenmeier.
And the manager's been there for 25 years in different capacities. The youngest serving board member has been there for 17. They are 2 points off the Champions League, 8 points off the top. And again, I've talked about this before, but there's a wonderful book about coaching, about the Germans coaching called Beyond the Cones. And it talks about Tuchel and Klopp and all these guys, how they really have to teach and coach and get inside these millennials' heads. It's very, very interesting. But this is another example of the Germans are it's a little different in our days when people were throwing bricks at your head, right? So anyway, really couple good stories out of Germany. Of course, we have to talk about England, which means we have to talk about Liverpool. So fuck me up to this every whatever. It's just the worst thing ever. But that league is getting harder and harder every year. The bottom 9 teams are separated by 8 points.
Wow.
So not only is it going to be a bloodbath at the top to get into the top 4, but the bottom, the May guys could be, you got 6 games from April 15th through May 15th. You could have 7-8 teams that could go down in the last 2 weekends. Now, it's great that Everton had a good result at home with a new manager. But again, it kind of points out the flaw in our coaching system over here when, all you got to do is get the guys organized and get them to run. It's the easiest thing to get them to do. Something Frank Lampard couldn't figure out, apparently. But they beat Arsenal and really deserved the result. I don't know if you guys saw it. They were better, and they had more chances. And they just looked like a team who was not going to be relegated, and I really don't think they will now, although it would not break my heart if they did. But again, back to Liverpool, they got 8 first-team guys on crutches. They're worn out. They played more games than anybody in the world last year. They probably need a break from this, what the Germans called gegenpressen, when they call it counter press, where you push really high, and then when you turn the ball over, instead of like, hey, let's get back behind the ball, you take immediate chase, like the Germans or the Russians used to call it immediate chase, or hunting in packs. It's a kind of a derivative of that, but you have to be super, super fit, and you're defending a long, long way away from your own goal, and it just wears you out. So they've been playing a lot of kids, and they're playing some people in the back that have some interesting ideas about defending. So it's going to be, they might still finish 6th or 7th, but that's enough.
Hey, Bo, I don't know if the protocol here, am I allowed to interject in this or
100%?
Of course.
Okay. So Marlon and I had a conversation. Marlon's a big Liverpool fan, even though his boy came up through the Everton Academy. And so I was talking to him, and I thought the term heavy metal football was very appropriate. And so we compared, we did just this juxtaposition of Pep and and Jurgen Klopp and the success, and how Liverpool's like this fire that just in your face, type of thing. So heavy metal football, whereas Man City or Pep is more of this orchestra, classical music, but
old Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, so which one is more sustainable? If you think about it, if you go to a concert and you listen to heavy metal, it's like after an hour and a half, you're like, your fucking head is like, just, but you can go and listen to some other good classical or whatever, interject whatever's smoother to you. And so that, so that's why City's able to sustain. And then this whole Jurgen Klopp thing is just, he just burnt these guys to a crisp, like you said.
That's right. And one thing to remember, I mean, to your point, City's got no budget, right? So they just keep bringing the best players in. I mean, they offloaded 2 players to Arsenal that are scoring goals right now. They didn't need them. But the thing to remember about that is you got to have those players to play that, Johan Cruyff, Xavi, Iniesta, tiki-taki stuff. And Liverpool, everybody's like, Mo Salah's great and blah, 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 so great. Guys, nobody knew who those guys were until 4 years ago. Right. I mean, Mo Salah never got a game at Chelsea, went to Roma, played 30 games in Serie A in 2.5 years. And Klopp said, look, we're going to high pressure people with fit guys. Muslims don't drink, smoke, or screw. So he's like, he got him on one side, he's got Mane on the other. And he said their recovery time is more than halfway quicker than the guys that go out and get hammered after every game. So they didn't really bring Liverpool, other than Alisson in goal and Van Dijk, the center back, they didn't go out and spend a ton of money on big world-class players. So to Pat's point, if you don't have the skill, go out there and run them into the ground and defend as far away from your own goal as possible, stay compact, and make it just 30 minutes of hell. Like, who's that basketball coach that beat Duke in the final? Nolan, what's his name? In Arkansas?
Richardson.
Yeah.
They just press the hell out of you. But, it's a really good point, Pat. But, remember those old Barcelona teams? It was just absolute. It was brutal. So what I've done this, after yesterday's latest debacle with Liverpool, I've been watching a bunch of movies to kind of make myself feel better. So I watched Old Yeller. I watched the scene where Bambi's mother got shot.
Your mother's not coming back, Bambi.
Mother's not coming back. Man is in the forest. And then this morning I watched Apocalypse Now. So all of those things are better than watching a fucking Liverpool game right now. But well on Everton, because Everton, all kidding aside, is a big-time, global, huge. In the 80s, if they could have played in Europe, they would have won at least 2 European trophies. Wonderful. Does anybody know what happened in France this week?
No, but I do have a question. How do you set the auto respond on text messages? Because your auto respond when Liverpool loses is one of my favorite things on earth.
You want to
That's a good one. Go ahead and read it out loud, Riggs.
I got to ask permission for both.
Go ahead. It's public domain.
Sorry I missed your text, but you're too late. I have set myself on fire and I've jumped into 23-degree Colorado River.
Yeah,
And this is
I know better than
And every time I was checking back in, it was auto responded immediately.
I considered just sending him this when I saw the score.
Oh, that's a good one.
Whoa.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Just doubling down.
and
I had nothing else better to send him because
right.
I'm like, how do I check on him without getting a middle finger? I knew.
Dude, I've sat at the weigh-in at Old Trafford and left the game covered in spit and urine and probably other stuff I don't want to say on live air.
Yeah.
I can handle anything. So, but 2 of my best friends ever from college are big United guys. And then Saturday was the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. For those of you who don't know, their plane crashed and a lot of people died. It was very awful. And then that Busby had to rebuild the entire team. Dennis Violet survived, who lived in Florida forever. I think he passed away recently.
Yep.
So I, we had that of trying to not be the scumbag that laughs about people dying on the runway. Then I got hammered. We got hammered by Wolverhampton. So just a tough weekend. So thank you, Rapes. But yeah, I can take the stick. I can handle Pat Johnston. I can handle anything.
Yeah, but that thing from Ryan.
Yeah.
That thing from Ryan was like throwing you an anchor.
That was really mean.
There, you're drowning. Let me throw you this anchor.
Yeah.
And in person, all you have to do is just move to his right, and he can't hit you, so you're good.
So we covered Germany, England, of course. What I've been watching to cheer myself up from watching Liverpool play. Does anybody hear the news? What happened in France this week?
No.
The answer is who gives a shit. Now,
Bingo.
Scotland, Rangers and Celtic won. Who really cares? But a word about the women's game. Some of us have daughters, and all of us have girlfriends and wives and moms. And
Hopefully not all the same.
this, and please interrupt at any point because this is fucking ridiculous. So what the Women's World Cup, now FIFA has gone and said you can now, other than the global sponsors, which are like Adidas and Philips like that, okay, that have been there forever, Coca-Cola, they've gone to the local people and said, okay, you can have what they call supporter sponsorship levels where you can do certain things around the stadiums and things like that and get some TV time, but not a lot. But obviously you can't be a competitor. So Budweiser, for instance, a Miller Lite couldn't come do something in Grill Market. But they signed a deal with the Saudi Arabian Tourist Commission, which I know all you guys know this. I'm just kind of being a little verbose here, to be a sponsor. And if you know anything about the Middle East, there's two things. One, women have zero rights, can't go to school. And number two, who the absolute fuck would go to the Middle East for vacation? I mean, it's hot, it's expensive, it's brutal, and it's just so tone deaf. Especially they're having the Women's World Cup in where New Zealand and Australia, usually very progressive for women. But on a positive note, FIFA realized the error of their ways. And so this just came out. I just added this the last minute. FIFA named a head of global women's football today, Harvey Weinstein.
Jesus Christ.
So FIFA, they're always on top of it. They're always thinking about the good of the game and the people involved.
Wow.
But the good news is, yeah.
This is more than just a sponsorship of the women's game, though, right? Right, Bone? This is a tool for them to try to win the next bid long term.
Yeah.
Right?
This is sport washing.
This is live golf.
Here's the bigger picture, right? 2030. That's where this is leading, okay? Because they're going to bid with Greece and Egypt against Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Chile. Now, this is even more messed up because Messi is working for the Saudi Arabia government to promote tourism. Yes. So who's going to get this? If you're a betting person, who's going to get this bid?
As is David Beckham.
But who should? And yes, and so is David Beckham. Beckham's under a 10-year contract for $200 million that started in 2021. Yeah. And Messi's getting paid, I believe, $20 million to do this. And it's going to come down to FIFA. Do you award Argentina because they won the World Cup, or are you just going to take the money and run? And I think if we were all betting, I think we know what the answer is.
Well, are the Spice Girls part of the Beckham deal? Like, are they going to perform the song for that World Cup if
only if they get enough money? Of course, if Saudi Arabia's involved, they'll get all the money they want. This is ridiculous. This is like the LIV golf thing. This is ridiculous.
Worse,
and talk about, once again, Raves and I talk about this all the time in business. Read the room. U.S. Soccer, read the room. Do you really, truly want the name Saudi Arabia around anything to do with your women's program? Do you really think that's a good idea?
FIFA
other
doesn't
than the
care.
fact,
well, of course.
No, not FIFA. I'm not talking FIFA.
Yeah, but FIFA's the one that's taking this money.
Yeah,
but of course, Sepp Blatter wanted women to play soccer in leotards.
I get it. I get it. But this is,
Is that an option?
That's true.
No, go there.
I'm just teasing. I'm married to a former college player. It was a joke.
That's why I'm trying to look out.
Disclaimer.
You've already stepped in the bear trap, idiot. You're gonna have to cut your leg off now.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Evie. Here's the difference. Okay, Blatter got 2 countries to do it under him, right?
Yeah.
All right. This guy is going to have 3 continents under him. So which way is he going to go? I think.
No, I know.
Well, here's my question, Greg Deutsch. I thought in the old days, and guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they have to? I thought they swapped hemispheres.
That
Right? So
I think
why-
that was the old days.
They used to be.
Yeah.
So
Spot on.
So
Spot on.
United States 2026. So that would mean we're going back to Europe or Asia, right? In 2030. And then Pat Johnston, you don't know this, but a buddy of mine and I are putting together a bid for the Mississippi World Cup 2034. So the reason we're doing this is because we figure it's got a better civil rights record than anybody than Qatar, right?
Yes, it
And
does.
because of this new sponsorship thing, we've already signed our first 2 sponsors. We got Enron, and we have a company called Constellation Energy. Now, Constellation Energy were the people that brought us 3 Mile Island. So we've got those 2 people already signed up for World Cup Mississippi 2034, and we might have to sign up the squad to the Enron guys.
You
Jump.
know, bro, there's this hot new guy out there. I think his name's Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, you can get in Bitcoin.
He'd be right in there.
Hey, we'll dial them up. We'll bid it to death.
And I have a planner from Fire Island. I'll send right to you. How about that?
I think that's not Love Canal.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it kind of is
Yeah.
a Love Canal on Fire
Yeah.
Island, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's looking at this going, this is going to be a giant editing job.
Nope, I'm leaving all this shit. You guys, you're trying to make this too hard. Yo, I'm just leaving it. When you get to the point where Boa starts hitting with anything that's sarcasm, I know that it's just going to go.
This is all true. You can be funny or you can just read the fucking news. And I read the news and I'm like, FIFA did what? I mean, it's amazing. It's like EV's story about them finding the gold bar in the guy's briefcase at a FIFA meeting. I mean, it's just
Ooh,
disgusting. So
I really wish I probably should have been a field player.
So
Hey,
guys, sorry. If we're dealing with humor, one of the funniest things that happened to me was so I wrote a book, and in the book I talked about how corrupt FIFA was. This was I wrote the book between 2010 and 2014. And so this whole FIFA bust where the Obama administration came down on him was what, 2015, 2016, something like that?
Yep, it was.
And a guy I knew my entire life who was a soccer guy calls me and says, "How did you know?" And I was like,
They gave 2 World Cups to Qatar and Russia in one day over Europe and the United States. You didn't have to be freaking Nancy Drew to figure that one out. Like, come on.
and all I could do was laugh. All I could do was like, "What do you mean? How did I know?"
I was sitting in a hospital in Charlotte, and I'll never forget it. I was like, at least they're not faking it anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh man.
Well, it's just we laugh, but it's pathetic and it's disgusting and it's 2023. Get your fucking head out of your sphincter and let's not make these kinds of decisions. At least run at the flagpole with some focus groups. Anyway, I wanted to end with this. There are some newish. Over here we get it's very complicated, the whole transfer system, right? Nobody really understands it. Apparently, some of the clubs in Europe don't either because there's a rule, and I didn't know this. You guys would know this. You can only loan out 8 players at a time. So
I did not know
What?
that.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
So you can obviously you can change after the transfer window, which just closed. You can change your roster for the Champions League, right? So for instance, the Dutch kid that signed at Liverpool, they added him and they pulled some kid off, right?
Right.
Okay, but some clubs screwed that up. That was really interesting. And the second thing that was really interesting, and then Ryan, you can take over, is since Brexit, the UK and England in particular is not held to the same labor laws. So they can now, and I don't know why they couldn't do this before, but they can go to South America and grab a kid right off the tree as long as he's 18 and get him directly before, the conduit usually for the South American guys is they come over and they play for
Portugal.
Yeah, somebody in Portugal, Kaiserslautern, they score 48 goals, and then they go to Manchester United for $100 million, right? That's kind of the thing. So now, and I'm wondering how that, now that they have this direct conduit to, you guys have been to Brazil and Argentina. I don't think people have a clue. You go to an under 13 thing and all these kids are playing and half of them are barefoot. It's insane. It's like everybody's Michael Jordan. But I'm wondering how that's going to affect this current fashion trend we have with all these American kids landing in England. I mean, McKinney just went from Juve, right, up to Leeds.
He was terrible today.
Yeah, they're going down, by the way. Poor Jesse.
Yeah.
I thought Leeds was great, but I thought McKinney was shit.
Oh, dude, I never rated him. I don't get it. I like the Aronson kid, and I like the kid that was our captain. And then did you see Aronson's little brother got his first cap for the United States?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of all I got today. But back to you in the studio, Dave.
Well, while you're talking about transfers and how clubs don't know how to do anything, somebody explain to me how this kid on the right doesn't get to transfer to Barcelona because they missed the window by 18 seconds.
FIFA just declined it, right? And it was a big
yeah.
What, like 30 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still the rule? Because I know it is in the NFL. It has to be faxed. It cannot be emailed. It has to be faxed to.
So, however they did it, there was a system error that delayed the delivery.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was received by FIFA 18 seconds late.
And they
so
said,
the two clubs went to FIFA and filed an appeal. Now, when you file an appeal for this, do you think you go to a third-party arbitrator for the appeal?
Yeah, right.
It's like going to Roger Goodell.
Yeah,
right.
No, you go down the hall. You go down the FIFA to the next door.
You go from one office in the FIFA office to the other and go, hey, they said no. Mom said no, but Dad, is it okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't get it. I don't know how 18 seconds makes that big of a difference.
Well, you got to have a deadline.
Yeah.
You got to have a deadline. I mean, they do in Major League Baseball.
But there's also intent and letter of the rule.
Yeah.
I truly believe that intent should always carry, but the letter needs to be there for governance. That's just my opinion.
We should have the referee. Yeah. We should have the referees oversee it.
There you go. So it goes back to the intent in the letter. You're talking about the spirit of the law and the letter of the law.
There you go.
So here's where it's 18 seconds over, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be the asshole hardliner here and say no, because next year 18 seconds will become 18 minutes, and then it'll just keep growing. We see it in the game. We see it in the game now, in terms of watching these guys rolling around. It drives me crazy. This is the cancer in the game right now. Is whenever a guy gets hit and he goes down, they stop the game. Yep. And I'm just like,
Jack Grealish.
When did this become
the worst? Yep. I agree.
But the Grealish foul today that got Romero thrown out of the game, though, was legit.
Yeah, but I also think if there's actual documentation you can provide that you're acting in good faith, that cooler heads can prevail. If you're negotiating past the drop date, that's fine.
Well, what are they waiting so long? Why are they waiting so long? They didn't discover the kid.
Because they're all playing chicken because there's 4 other guys involved.
Well, then that's it.
It's last call, and she's trying to figure out who she's going home with.
That sounds like how I recruited. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm a hardliner with Patrick on this. Fuck them. You're running $1 billion. What's Barcelona worth now?
Do you have a spreadsheet on that?
He does. He's got a spreadsheet on it.
Top 20.
Top 20. There you go.
$638 million Barcelona last year. They can't freaking get a fax done to Los Angeles. I have no pity. Hey, did you guys see?
I blame the Galaxy wholeheartedly on this one.
Did you guys see the Deloitte, what they call the Deloitte football list? It comes out every year. They've been doing it for 26 years. The top 20. Does anybody know how many English teams are in the top 20 most valuable in the world?
In the top 20?
Yep.
I would guess 11.
Bingo. 11 teams. Wow. The ones that are surprising, Pat, to me, were Leicester and West Ham.
Wow. surprising.
Well, but Leicester's won the Premier League within the last 5 years.
Yeah, but if you've been to Leicester, you got to get a penicillin shot just to get out of your car.
I mean, still, I think winning the thing gets you up there, and they're towards the bottom, right? They're like 17th or something, if I remember correctly.
They're in that fight for not getting relegated, aren't they?
Well, but Everton's on this list, and Everton is right on that.
Yeah, they were like Newcastle, of course, but the interesting thing: 3 Spanish teams, obviously the big 2, and the Athletic.
Right.
2 German teams, those are easy. PSG from France, and then Italy, Juve, Inter, and AC Milan. So, that's why everybody wants to buy these clubs, because if you get to the Premier League, if it's 800 million, let's say Everton's 800 million, and you get to the Premier League, you pay yourself back in 3 years.
Yeah,
that's a good investment.
How many of the teams on this list of 20, John, were going to be in the Super League?
A good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, so City, Real Madrid, Liverpool, United, PSG.
So the top 5
Was Arsenal in that? Chelsea was. Spurs was. Barcelona. Bayern was not. Juve was for sure. Juve and Real Madrid are losing so much money they want it bad. Not Dortmund, not Atletico Madrid. I think one or both of the Milans. So 9.
A good chunk of them, yeah.
How many were American owners?
Well, that was what drove the whole thing, is the NFL of Europe thing.
There it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think there's an American owner in Roma, which I've forgotten about. Jose Mourinho's club. So anyway,
the next national team coach.
Let's not go there.
Nice segue.
Yes. Yes. I'm all for it. I'm actually all for him being the next GM.
Oh my God.
Come on, Evie.
The 6 people on this call and go to Qatar with that team and go 1-2-1. What do you bet? I don't understand. It's the easiest region to qualify, and I don't understand what the big deal is.
We lost Pat.
Yeah, we lost Pat, but that's because Boa was like, "Let's all go to Qatar," and he was like, "Nope." No, I just think that there's a lot of options now for U.S. soccer to try to figure stuff out, but nobody wants the job.
And then I think I said this to Ryan and Mudbone this week about the tournament in Raleigh-Durham you guys were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrexham is in it.
Wrexham, yeah.
Yeah, it's the soccer tournament.
And they won again. And if they beat Sheffield United, which they won't. But
Tuesday at 2:15 Eastern, I think.
I don't know if you guys
the 7-on-7 tournament.
I think it's 7s, yeah.
Yeah, it's 7s, yeah.
But again, it's in one place. We need the circus. We need the FA Cup and the Open Cup and all that.
Cincy SC has a team in that, by the way. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. He popped over. We can talk about Cincy, the Natty SC as well, since we have some friends on that squad. So they're pretty excited about it. It looks like there's going to be a good opportunity for them. I think that tournament's going to be interesting. We're just more interested in finding out. I think Bone and I have talked this one to death, but like, when's it going to be broadcast? When are they going to, get it out there for people to see? Because we know when it's going to be played. And I am on the ticket waiting list already.
They have a waiting list?
They have a waiting list. Yes, I signed up on that waiting list from the jump. So if I do not get tickets, it's going to be a problem. Because the first day I saw that the waiting list was available, I popped on for this tournament. I think it's going to be very, very cool. I actually like that it's in one place for the first time they're doing it, because I think that it keeps it all kind of in-house and kind of cleaner. And from a production standpoint, obviously they're recording it. They don't have to bring as many crews in, right?
Well, they're streaming it, right? They'll have cameras on the goals, and they'll do some.
God, I hope so. I hope they pull a Jamie Starr and put some GoPros in the net so we can see what the angle looked like when the ball popped in the corner of the net or something like that. I would be totally into that.
Especially, Go ahead.
I think the interesting part of that tournament is just like the buy-in structure for me is really interesting, because depending on when you sign up, depends on how much you have to pay to get in.
Right.
So it's cheaper the earlier that you say, hey, we'll do it. And then the 32nd team in the mix has to bid, and the highest bidder is going to get in.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the FC Cincinnati alumni team jumped in early. And I'd be interested to talk to Michael Millay about that piece, just because I think it's an interesting story for them. Because they were part of taking, soccer in this city by storm. And I think for me, that's an interesting piece to what this tournament's going to have. But Boa, you brought up the Open Cup and how we need to have some chaos in the Open Cup. Did you guys even realize that the first round games were announced this week?
Did not realize that.
It's the Lamar Hunt Trophy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the first round matchups were announced this week. For the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and the first games are going to be played Tuesday, March 21st.
So the MLS guys are doing preseason right now, right?
They've been in it for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
USL just started for about a week ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Bushy, John Bush at Pittsburgh. They play the MLS side. They've been training for 4 weeks.
Have they? Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the
now-
MLS teams don't join in the Open Cup until
Right.
much, much later in the process, right?
Don't they
Like
also
June.
have
Like
Champions
June.
League games?
What was that, Boa?
Don't they also have CONCACAF Champions League games at the beginning of the season too?
I
Yes.
believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, the schedule is kind of a cluster because there's a lot of different pieces going on. I saw the other day, I can't remember. I want to say it was One Knox. They're scheduled to play Columbus Crew after the regular season starts for MLS in a friendly.
In a
And
friendly.
I don't know.
In a friendly,
Yeah,
not a U.S. Open Cup game.
no, in a friendly.
Okay.
Who is this?
One Knoxville. They're in
Knoxville,
USL 1.
yeah.
Wow.
But the first
That
round
has
games,
to be their feeder team, right? There has to be some association to go out that way.
I don't know. I saw it on One Knox on their Instagram because I have a former player that plays for them.
And then you got
so-
the new, what's the new MLS Mexico? What's the Mexican league called?
League MX.
Yeah, they have that, Greg Deutsch, don't they? The MLS teams are going to play them every year in a tournament.
The lower divisions, yes.
Oh, the lower. What do you mean? I thought it was the top Mexican versus MLS.
Oh, this year, yeah. League,
You're talking about the Leagues Cup?
Leagues Cup, yeah. Oh,
yes,
my
the
gosh,
Leagues
yeah.
Cup. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, that's about to start. They just announced the schedule about 2 weeks ago. Some brilliant games.
Oh yeah. I mean,
This is great
Club
football.
America. I mean, that's big time football. Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a total of 77 matches in that tournament.
Window. Yeah, 30 days is
Right.
crazy.
And the
It's
MLS
30 days.
the MLS is hiring a whole team from a management perspective to run it.
Oh,
They're
well.
gonna need it. 30 days to get all those games.
The competition will feature 47 clubs from the two leagues, all 29 from MLS and 18 from Liga MX. They'll be ranked by league using the 2022 Supporters Shield standing from MLS and the aggregate table from Liga MX.
That's right, because they have the 2 seasons, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan Adams played in Mexico. Pat Johnston, one of Pat Johnston's proteges.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So Ryan, any first round matchups with the US Open Cup that you want to comment on?
I'm actually excited. There's one that I don't know if I'm going to be. I don't think I can go because I think it falls like on a Thursday. I'm trying to find it here. It's a Wednesday night. Beeman United FC, I believe they're out of Murfreesboro.
Okay.
They're playing the Des Moines Menace from USL 2 on March 22nd. For those of you that don't know, Des Moines pretty much has dominated USL 2 over the last few years. Like they're really, really good.
Yeah.
Um,
They were very
that's-
good back in the PDL days.
I remember that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
hit that
interested in
buzzsaw
seeing them
more than
play
once.
for sure.
Where's that game at, Ryan? Is it at Des Moines? I had take it.
No,
or-
my understanding is it's in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Murfreesboro.
Yeah, let me pull it up real fast and see if I can.
E,
find
is
it.
that
It's
where the
at
Metros
Dean A.
used to play?
Hayes.
No,
It's-
Murfreesboro's got a.
It's at Middle Tennessee State
Is it really?
University.
Hey,
Okay.
It's at
Devin
Dean A.
Moore.
Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium. That's at Middle Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
So that one's one I'm interested in. I think the other one that I kind of want to see is Cleveland SC versus Lionsbridge FC. Cleveland SC out of the NPSL. It's being played at North Olmsted High School in North Olmsted, Ohio, on Thursday the 23rd.
is it North?
I'm
Olmsted?
hopeful that some of these get streamed, but it's not a requirement to stream them if you host.
And the Lions are out of where? Michigan?
Lionsbridge. I want to say it's Virginia.
Oh.
Yeah, Virginia Peninsula.
Isn't North Olmsted where Brad Friedel's from?
Yes, it is.
Bay Village, something like that.
Bay Village, different. Yeah.
So that's up by
Lionsbridge
Cleveland,
is
right?
from Newport
Yeah, it's up
News.
by Cleveland. Yeah.
So
I'm
Lionsbridge
still
was out of
learning
Newport
Ohio.
News.
Sorry.
Boy,
But the other one that caught my attention is Jacksonville Armada from the NPSL.
John Hart.
Is gonna host Miami United FC. That one's also on the 23rd. So those are two on the 23rd that really caught my attention. The other ones, there's nothing that really stands out. I was excited to see that Manhattan SC out of the USL2 is going to play in the event because they earned it this past year. They were really, really good. I want to say they may have been undefeated in the USL2 season this past year. And y'all know that's not an easy feat.
What's interesting is, and it's not just in England, but somebody big lost in Spain in the King's Cup the other day. Is a lot of these big clubs just don't have the gas, and they're putting their under 23s out there and they're losing.
Right.
And in England, I think there's like 7 or 8 teams that most people have never even heard of in the final 16. And I think Barcelona, Real Madrid lost in the King, what they call the Copa del Rey in Spain. So it's, you know, you only play so many games and so many. It seems like over here we do the opposite, you know. So
John Boa, Heartsease at Greenville.
sorry,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
There was one of those guys down in Jacksonville. I thought, like,
Yeah, Tony Miola.
Well, Tony Mielo was down there for a while. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
And now he's on satellite radio every day.
Yeah. So.
right on.
But yeah, so Manhattan SC should be an interesting watch. So if we find out any of these games are being streamed, we'll make sure to share them on our social media channels.
We should do a pool.
Cool.
All right, John Boa, you said you were on the U.S. Soccer website, right?
Yeah.
How about the U17 CONCACAF Men's Championship?
I
Starting
don't even know
next
where
week.
it's being played.
What's that?
I don't even know where it's being played. Enlighten me.
Guatemala.
Oh, really?
Starts next week. The 11th. We play
Who
Barbados.
coaches that team? Like Hacks or one of those guys?
No. Help me out here, Ryan. Sangres?
Are you talking about the U17s?
Yeah. Hector, maybe? Hector Sangres, something like that.
I don't know any of those dudes.
They
pulling it
play.
up.
This
Keep
is
going.
this is interesting. While Ryan looks that up, so the 11th they play Barbados, the 13th they play TNT, and the 15th they play Canada. You talk about no rest, right?
Wow.
You better have
Yeah.
some depth and not
Yeah.
get hurt.
But they're playing 40-minute halves, probably.
No,
No.
I would think they're playing
No,
45.
they'll play
45s.
45s. Yeah.
So they're playing every other day.
Every
Yeah.
other day.
Gonzalo
Everybody does.
Sagaris.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. So they've done very well in this tournament, as maybe we forgot.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they got a good history of, getting into the championship, or certainly, competing for the championship, maybe not winning it. So a lot of MLS guys, as you can imagine. I think San Jose has the most with 3. I think there's 16 guys from the MLS, and then a sprinkling of some European guys. So,
Huh.
Ryan, I'm not sure what it's going to be on, how people watch it. I don't know what they're saying.
Usually the U17 events are all streamed on US Soccer's website.
I was going to say, let me guess. U.S. Soccer doesn't even tell you.
I haven't seen it officially, but I'll double check because usually they have it listed somewhere. But it's never like right up front, like, hey, we're playing this. Although if you're following US Soccer on social media, I'll tell you, their social media team does a decent amount to get information out there. Sometimes it's stuff that you don't care about, but they put stuff out there. Like this past week was the 2-year anniversary of that game in Minnesota where everybody thought that the goalkeeper got frostbite.
Yeah, Matt Turner got frostbite.
Matt Turner got frostbite.
Toes cut off. Yeah.
Yeah, like so they celebrated the anniversary of that game, and I was like, it's another read the room moment, as he says.
Soccer. There you go.
But their
Read the
social
room.
media does a good job when, like, if you follow them on Facebook or Twitter, of saying like, hey, this CONCACAF game's being played right now. And CONCACAF themselves actually on Facebook, their Facebook presence is really, really good. I've watched the beach championships on there previously because they just posted it like, hey, these games are being played right now, and they stream them live. So, share, like, anytime you're looking for things that are going on with that, that's kind of the best way to keep track. I will actually share on our Twitter page the entire match schedule for this event. There are not many rest days, as Bone was pointing out. Like, it's a pretty brutal schedule.
It's crazy.
Which, I mean, I guess I'll say this. If you're used to traveling and playing soccer as a U17, U18 player, you're kind of used to schedules like this. Again, we don't necessarily train the way that we should at some of those age groups, as Pat was mentioning earlier about how we don't train the way that they do overseas.
Yeah.
But like this game schedule, you're playing every other day. Like you're seeing tournaments where, like, you go to National League, you're playing 4 games in 4 days. So this is very similar to that kind of schedule in my mind. At least you're getting a day off in between with this.
Whoa.
I mean, it's a novel concept to have a day off. I think that they could definitely try to spread it out a little bit, but I also understand. I mean, it winds up being a 15-day. It's a 2-week tournament if you make it all the way through. So I think they try to do it this way to cut down on the expense of the hotel stays and all
It
that
sounds
stuff.
like a Braveheart casting call.
Yes, it does. It's not, well, whatever. No. Yeah. All right, boys.
So, eat your show. I want to hear about I want Bo's take on Gio.
Scoring goals.
He's scoring goals.
Scored a beauty last week to win the game.
Correct.
He had 2 game winners in two games. Everybody likes him in Germany.
Yeah.
The one that he scored this week was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Gio wasn't the problem. His parents were.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. You can't help your parents being an asshole. And he's not even trying to be the villain.
Yeah.
He's just answering the bell, and good for that kid.
Is he not trying to be the villain though by doing the same celebration that people were calling him out saying he's not as good as certain players, and then he's doing their celebrations? But
what else should he do?
I mean, I'm fine with him. Like, I don't care if he does this. I don't care if he plays the villain. I'm all for the villains. Speaking of guys that played the villain well, Bone has a guy behind his shoulder there that everybody loved as a baby face back in the day in WWE when it was WWF. But now, as he went from the Macho Man Randy Savage to the Macho King, when he was Macho King, he was one of the best.
Yeah.
But his brother Lanny Poffo actually passed away this past week, which is why I think Bone has the Macho Man.
I think good for Gio. You can't pick your family, and they screwed up. They just did, and they shouldn't have done it. but the way it was handled by U.S. Soccer was what bothered me more. So, but that horse has been beaten and is decaying in the street. So
yeah, I think it's good to see him finishing though.
Yeah,
coming in off the bench, and he's being a role player at his club.
Yeah, and
so hopefully he gets a little bit more substantial minutes as he's back in the fold. But he's coming off the bench and scoring goals. So
sorry to take us off track. When he banged a couple game winners back to back, I just thought it was cool for him because he's a 20-year-old kid and he didn't deserve that. And he may have been part of it, but he's still a 20-year-old kid. Like the whole thing feels off to me, but I'm glad he's still answering the bell.
Yeah.
So who is he mimicking? Is he doing something when he scores? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can't remember who it was. They said somebody like he's not as good as, or he wasn't somebody, and then he did that guy's celebration.
Okay. Well, on a lighter note, you know who does that? And there's a video out and on YouTube. Sadio Mane would imitate his teammates' celebrations after when they would score, then he would do a half-ass imitation of it. It's the funniest thing if you guys have the opportunity.
Yeah, he did
YouTube.
He did with Mo Salah and
And then Firmino would do the machine gun thing.
Yeah.
And so Firmino would be all into it, and Mane would go. It's a great YouTube video, man. It's one of my favorites.
Did you guys see the NFL celebration with the World Cup penalty kick? That was funny. It was right before the playoffs started. It was really funny.
The next one's going to be with a Chinese balloon. So
yeah. So this is a good way to finish up the week. First of all, we won't be on next Sunday because it's Super Bowl Sunday and everybody's going to be watching the Super Bowl. So, and then the following week, if I'm not mistaken, Bone, we are having Ralph Lundy on.
No, John Boa's boy, Butch.
Butch
is on next week. Okay, sorry, my bad. Butch Loffer from
West Texas State.
West Texas State. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Before we go, and Ryan asked that we do this, and it's important. We're going to go around the panel with our Super Bowl picks. So I'll start. I'm going with Kansas City because I don't think you can beat Patrick Mahomes.
I'll go next. I agree with you, Evie. Kansas City.
The Eagles are a lock because they have an Alabama quarterback. Next.
Okay.
I vote for defense, and the Eagles' defensive front is terrifying. And even though Jalen Hurts is not as good as Patrick Mahomes, I think the Eagles win, and they won't cover. Pat, to you.
Honestly, I have no idea. I have not watched NFL in years.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, what do you think, bud?
The Eagles don't have to do much to cover. It's 1.5 points.
Oh, I saw it at 2. I thought they were going to hit a late one.
Yeah, I mean, if the Eagles win it, I think we're okay, right?
Mahomes got a bum wheel, right? So they're just going to go.
No, he played fine against the Bengals.
He'll be back by then.
He'll be fine. He's got
this
2
whole
weeks
town is in mourning, by the way. They're still not okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are other things that happened in that game that are reasons, but I think ultimately I'm hoping for the Eagles, but I'm afraid it's going to be the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. I hate them. I hate the Chiefs.
But seriously, Ryan, serious question though: who owns the Chiefs?
Who owns the Chiefs? Owns. There'll be about 10 people that listen to this that'll get that joke, and then they're going to have to go watch that movie to get over it.
Or this one, because the Eagles have never been the same since Joe Walsh quit.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Oh, man.
EV, take us home.
That's Rocky Mountain. That's Rocky Mountain high humor right there, folks.
Yeah.
Now, I do know this. The dude, the Big Lebowski, man, I hate the fucking Eagles, man.
The dude abides.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode. Special thanks to Pat Johnston from, I think I got this right now, thesquad.com. That's squad with a W because everyone loves a W. Special thanks to our producer, Ryan Sparks, our top interviewer, Greg Deutsch, our man from the mountains, John Boa, and the kid that should have been a field player, Greg Raber. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
The Three Old Goalies podcast is brought to you by thesquad.com. That's squad with a W because everybody loves a W. Be sure to check out music from the Floodgate Operators. The Floodgate Operators open and close each and every episode of the Three Old Goalies with their track Pieces on the Floor.